Rob here at etrailer.Com, and today you're going to be taking a look at the eTrailer Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2017 Chevrolet Traverse. Now here's what it's going to look like once we have it installed, and you can see it's going to have a really clean, almost factory look to it. And if we want, we actually have the option of putting the panel back. It will fit, and then no one will know that we actually have a hitch on our Traverse. That's a Class 3 hitch, which means it's going to give us that 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is going to give us the most options when it comes to accessories. If we need to transport a couple bikes, we can put a bike rack in here, maybe get some dirty camping gear out to make room on the inside, put a cargo carrier in there, or if we need to tow a trailer, we can put a ball mount. But whatever we're going to be using it for, we're going to mount all of our accessories to the hitch pin hole here on the side. It is going to accept a standard 5/8 pin and clip. Now these are not included with the hitch, but you can pick them up here at etrailer.com, along with some locking devices to make sure your accessories are secure. Now if you are going to be towing a trailer, you're obviously going to need a spot to hook up your safety chains. And our connection point here is going to be at the bottom, plate style. And as you can see, we'll have plenty of room to get most size hooks on or off. Just keep in mind, if you're using some small hooks, it may be a little difficult to come from the side, but rather easy to come from the front. Now when you're looking for a hitch, you want to make sure it's up for the task regardless of what you're going to use it for. So as far as the weight rating goes, our hitch is going to have a 500-pound tongue weight. That's going to be the maximum downward force at the end of the receiver tube. And that's going to be great for some of those larger bike racks, even up to 4 or 5 bikes, or really maximizing the carrying capacity of those larger cargo carriers. Now it's also going to have a 5,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. That's the amount it can pull, including the trailer and everything we have loaded on it. Now it is designed to work with weight distribution systems as well, and that's going to be a separate component that's mounted on your trailer. That's going to bump the tongue weight up to 600 pounds and the gross trailer weight up to 6,000 pounds. But you do want to double check your Traverse's owner's manual because you don't want to exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight. I'd like to give a few measurements, and these are going to help you out whenever you're looking for accessories for your new hitch, such as a ball mount, a bike rack, or even a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the very most outer edge of the bumper, you're right about 5.5 inches. And the measurement's going to come in handy when you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have enough room here and they're not going to come in contact with the rear bumper. Now from the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is going to be right about 19 inches. Now that measurement's going to help you out when you're looking for a ball mount, so you can find the appropriate rise or drop so you can match it up to your trailer. But now that we've gone over the features of our hitch and seen what it looks like, let's get it installed together. To start out, we're going to come to the back of our Chevy, and we're going to have a panel on the very bottom of the bumper that we're going to have to remove. There's going to be 2 turn knobs. There's just little quarter turns, so we'll turn them a quarter of the way. And then I'll release the panel, we can pull down, and the panel will come out of these clips. We'll go ahead and set this aside where it won't get damaged. Next, we're going to want to lower our exhaust down so we have a little bit of working room. Before you do, you want to put up a support strap so it doesn't come down too far and cause any damage. Just find a solid connecting point somewhere on the vehicle. We'll tighten up the strap so it has a little bit of support. And then if we move back towards our muffler, on the inside, right by our spare tire, we're going to have one hanger here with a rubber isolator on it. We're also going to have one on the other side of the muffler towards the outside. The main goal here is that we just want to slide that rubber isolator off of the metal hanger here. I'm going to take a little bit of spray lubricant. I'm going to spray down my hanger. And it's just going to make it a little bit easier for that isolator to slide off. And you just want to take a pry bar, find something to pry against on the car. You just want to work that rubber hanger off so the muffler can come down. And we'll repeat the same process for the hanger that's on the other side of the muffler. Now if your muffler didn't come down that far and it's not quite enough room that you want, if we follow our muffler and follow our exhaust pipe back, right in front of the rear tires, we're going to have another hanger. That'll give us a little bit more room, but again, you want to make sure you have that support strap there because we don't want our exhaust to come down too far. Now if we move underneath, on each side of our frame rail, in the same spot, we're going to have 2 threaded holes on the very bottom. Those are going to be our 2 mounting locations on each side of the frame. We want to make sure that the weld nuts are nice and clean, there's no dirt, debris, or rust inside. So I'm going to take a little bit of spray lubricant, I'm going to spray it inside, and then I'll come back with a nylon toothbrush, and I'm going to clean out, making sure there's nothing in there and the bolts aren't going to cross thread. I'm going to come back and I'm going to clean each one of my weld nuts, the 2 on each side of the frame. Now, it's not a bad idea after you clean out the weld nuts to grab one of the hex bolts out of your kit and make sure that you can get a few threads in there and it threads in easily and they're not going to cross thread. So we'll go through and we'll double check all the weld nuts, make sure our bolts thread in easily by hand. Now, if the weld nuts in the frame are extremely dirty and using that nylon brush didn't clean out the dirt or debris and you're still having a hard time getting the bolts in, you may need to run a tap through it. We can go down to your local hardware store and typically you can rent a tap and die set, but our weld nuts are going to be an M12 by 1.75 pitch thread. And we're going to have 2 more mounting locations at the very back of our bumper here. If we look up right in that opening, we're going to have 2 round holes. Now yours may or may not have just a regular hole, or you may have a weld nut in there. If you have a weld nut, we're not going to need to do anything else except put the bolts and washers in place. However, if you don't have weld nuts in the frame, we are going to have to fish wire our hardware in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pull wire out of our kit, we're going to take the coiled end, we'll feed it into the round hole, and then we're going to go towards the outside of the vehicle. We'll feed our wire in all the way until we can get it to come out the side of the bumper. You just want to make sure you leave the tail end sticking out. I always like to put a little hook on the end there so that it's less likely for the wire to go in. And here you can see it's going to come out at the very end of the bumper here at the back of the fascia. Once we have the coiled end of our wire sticking out, I want to take a square hold spacer block. We're going to slide it over our wire. We can push it back into the frame section. We'll grab a carriage bolt. We're going to thread it onto the end of the wire. And we can push all the pieces back into the frame. We'll grab the other end of our pull wire. We're going to pull all of our hardware until our bolt comes down through and engages that block. Now once you have this in, we're going to repeat it for the other hole on the other side. I like to go over the hardware with you because it's going to be easier to show you without the hitch in place. But we're going to have a new bolt. We'll take the hex bolt from our kit and we'll take a conical tooth washer. There's going to be little teeth on there. You want to make sure those are facing up towards the hitch. We'll put our hitch in place. We're going to go through the brackets and then we're going to secure our hitch into the weld nuts using this same combination of hardware for all 4 places. And for our 2 carriage bolts that are coming through, we'll feed our pull wires down through our hitch. We can remove them, and then we're going to be securing this with a flange nut going up through the bracket. With an extra set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch up. We're going to make sure you feed your pull wires down through the holes in the center of the hitch. We'll lift it up over the exhaust. You want to line up the holes in the frame with the holes in the hitch. And you want to make sure you secure the hardware with at least 1 bolt on each side. That way the hitch will hold itself up and we won't have to worry about it falling. And for our 2 bolts coming down to the center, you just want to pull the pull wire off. But be very careful not to push the bolt back in whenever you're putting the flange nut in place. I'm going to come back with a 3/4 inch socket, or you can use a 19mm socket, and I'm going to snug up all my hardware. You want to make sure you come back with a torque wrench, and we're going to torque all the hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. You want to make sure you repeat that for any remaining hardware that you have. At this point, I'm just going to spray a little bit more lubricant on my exhaust hanger and the isolator. We'll lift it up, and we can slide the exhaust back into position. With everything tightened down, we are ready to hit the road. However, you do have the option of putting the panel back. That way, whenever we're not using our hitch, we'll have a really clean look to our Traverse, and you won't even know it's there. But that'll finish up your look at the eTrailer Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2017 Chevrolet Traverse.